And whoops, continue. I don't know what that just share. Okay, hold on. Sorry, technical difficulties. Okay, are you now seeing the ARMLS website?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So I was brought here today to talk about Flexmls tips and tricks, little things that we know kind of on the inside here. Like I've been teaching Flex to agents for years now, things that we've developed, little tips, tricks in our bag of tricks that you might or might not know about, make your life with Flexmls easier, because time is money, right? And if you're like, wasting time doing things the harder way or the longer way, that's money directly, that you could be getting into your pocket by being out there doing deals. Flexmls also is what we call it technically is wonky. That's the word we use within ARMLS to describe Flexmls. It's a wonky product. It's a little bumpy. It's a little clumsy. We admit that. We did not create it. The reason I'm on my website right now, ARMLS, is to draw differentiation between Flexmls has its own website. They're owned by a company in North Dakota called FBS. ARMLS just contracts with them like we do with Showing Time and a lot of other products that we provide to you, the super lock boxes. So they're just one of our vendors. And I say that just so you can understand that when you run into frustrations with Flex, half the time we're there with you. And we've also had to try to figure out a workaround. And that's what I'm here to help you with today. Another reason I'm on my website right now, armls.com, is to just show you, in case you didn't know, and if you've seen me present before, you've probably already seen this little ditty, that we have a bunch of free products and services here on our website that you can access at any time that really will help your real estate world. In our support section, we have our blog. I write the blog articles along with 2 other team members that are on the content team like I am. And we write them on all different topics, including, as you can see, we have a whole category of Flex topics. And you can, at any point, come in here, click on them. This one I wrote just the other day, just letting you guys know that we're now accepting walk-ins at the support centers again. You could search Flexmls and get all Flex articles. Or if you just remembered something that I said today and you wanted to get more info, like, oh, she said something about the templates. All right, let me put template in there. Creating quick search templates, create a custom quick search template. So play around with our blog. Also in the learning section of the website, we have a whole bunch of online classes as well as in-person classes. To register for an in-person class, just click the word classes up here. And in-person means like this. We do it on GoToWebinar right now. And then the online classes. They're all free of charge. Take them. If you're a little newer with Flex and what I do today kind of goes over your head, take my Searching in Flexmls class. It's 2.5 hours. So it's going to be today times 4, now 2. And you'll get a lot more in-depth and slower information because we'll be going from the beginning. So having said that, we are here to talk about Flexmls tips and tricks. Things that I know that once you start practicing using these little tips, you'll be able to work more efficiently and more speedily in Flexmls, hopefully. So let me just check. I see chats. I'm a newbie. Okay. Yeah, if you are a newbie, some of this might seem a little bit over your head, but there are some basics in here that aren't too tricky that you'll be able to work with. So it's up to you. If you want to stay, we'd love to have you. If you want to just duck out and come to a full class, that's awesome too. So first thing I'm going to show you is one of the easier tricks. It's not very complicated, and a lot of you might already know it. Up here, you see I have my Flexmls toolbar. And you might notice that it looks different from your toolbar. And that's because I've customized it. Again, time is money, and Flex is a little wonky. So they hide all your stuff here under menu, and it's kind of a hot mess. And it's like 100 things in here. And some of them, I don't even know what they are. And they're under categories that I don't even really understand. So if there's things that you're going to use a lot, like I'm hoping you'll need to add listings a lot. Well, maybe you just want to put the add listing button up there. So watch what I do. Hovering, and then I'm clicking on the little star and I'm turning it yellow. Now add listing is in my toolbar. I'm taking it out because I don't add listings, to see how easy it is for me to take it off. So because we all want to save time, I've put the things that I use for my teaching world here at my fingertips here on the top. If you were really, really specific about your world, you can reorder them. I never do. I'm not that person. But if you just absolutely have to have them in alphabetical order or something like that, you can just click reorder right here and you can move them around. So that's how to customize your toolbar. I'm going to keep going on unless someone yells out that there's a question. I know Kelly said she might interrupt me if something pops up. Next thing I want to show you, the listing status field. So this is our residential search template. Flex will always default to giving you one of their default templates. In this case, it's giving us one residential. They have 8 templates to choose from that you can use depending on what kind of search you're doing. So if you're doing a rental, you would choose the residential template. So we're here in residential, and no matter what template you use, you're going to find that it always will default to showing you active CCBS and UCB properties. That's how Flex likes to do it. In their opinion, all of those properties are active because you can make offers on them. But if you are an active realtor pounding the pavement out there, you know that that really doesn't make sense. That you often don't want to show UCB or CCBS properties to clients, especially not in this kind of a market. They're going to be gone in 10 minutes. So here's what you do. You click here anywhere on the white, and then you just choose whatever status you really do want. So it's just active, just choose active. If you want active and coming soon, or active and pending or whatever, hold down your control button if you're on a Windows product. If you're on a Mac, it's command. Hold it down and then click on the other thing you want. I can keep doing that. See, I have now chosen 3 statuses. If you choose a status that's off market, like closed, you will then have a problem in that you will get millions of results. And my guess is you don't want that. The reason for that is because ARMLS has been doing business with Flex since the year 2000. And we don't delete listings even once they go off market. You know, they stay in the system for comps and such. So Flex is giving you essentially everything that's closed from the year 2000 to now, and they're adding it into the mix. And I'm sure you don't want that. If you were doing comps or for whatever your research was, you probably don't want 20 years of properties. So then anytime you choose an off-market status, you must click here, see all and select date ranges, and then you choose the close of escrow date or the expire date, whatever status matches the one that you're in. We're in closed right now. So I'm going to do the close of escrow date. And then you can just choose the calendar and filter it back the way you want, or the way I like to do it, because the calendar makes me a little jumpy. I like to click on these 2 little lines, and then I can just type what I want. That for me just works better. So I say 90 days, or I change the days to months, and I say 2 months, or I change the months to years, I say 1 year. Either way you want to do it, but if you're going to be adding in those off-market statuses, you need to learn, if you don't already know how to do it, how to filter out your dates. Otherwise, you'll end up just with a whole bunch of junk.
Michelle, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Not me, Kelly. Another Kelly asked, is it possible to search under the open house tour filtering with a collection?
Open house, search open houses with a collection. I'm not sure I understand, because a listing collection is just your save, is just certain items you chose from your search and saving them and protecting them into a collection. So I'm not sure how you'd be searching within a collection. So I'm a little confused by the question. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Kelly, if you want to yell out, you can, or maybe.
Yeah, if you want to, it's just, yeah, we're all friends. You can jump in.
Is it okay to jump in right now?
Sure.
Oh, okay. Well, like I'll always pull up the, what's open house or for a certain date. and below it'll say filter. So you can filter on your saved searches, but a lot of times I will consolidate 5 or 6 searches into a collection for a specific client. And so I have to go back through all of the saved searches. I don't know if, I was just asking, can you just somehow put the collection in there? Or
Yeah, I've never heard of that. I can fool around with it if you want to, if Kelly Harris, if you want to shoot me an email with that person's contact information, it's something I can look into. And also I'm going to need to get a little more clarity about what you want, but I can look into it after this presentation.
Okay, thanks. I'll try to
No problem.
more clear.
Okay.
And Michelle, there's one more in chat if you want to give it a look.
Okay. Of course, now I got to find that thing again. It's not easy. I have all these controls here. Show grid. Sorry, guys. I'm not used to this platform, so I'm kind of struggling here to find it. Went away. The little chat feature that I had earlier.
Was your toolbar for Zoom at the top of your screen or bottom? Because sometimes you just have to hover at the top or bottom. It'll come back up.
Oh, there we go. Yep, you're right. There it is. It was hiding at the top. Okay. I need to do a search a while back. I needed to do a search and there was certain streets, couldn't figure out if there was even an option, east, west, and north, south. Oh, so you wanted to filter out streets that were north, south, or that were east, west. You wanted to filter by direction. Is that what you're saying? If the person who said that wants to just unmute yourself and shout out, were you saying you wanted to try to filter by direction, like only west streets or only south streets? Is that what you're trying to do?
No, actually it was between, say, like in Scottsdale, like between 56th Street and Scottsdale Road, and then between Greenway and
Oh, okay. I understand totally what you're saying. Now you want to search for a specific geographic area,
right?
Right. That's not delineated by a town. Like it's not like there's no name for it. That's actually one of the tips that I'm going to be doing a little bit toward the end.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. I'm starting with the slow, easy things. I've got like a little list here and they're going to get more advanced. And that's going to be one of the last things because it's a little bit advanced. All right. So we just did the listing status. So something interesting to look at when you're filtering listing status is we often get asked, how do I get a coming soon property to be part of the subscription that I'm sending out to someone? Well, I actually wrote a blog article about it just the other day. So if what I say now doesn't stick in your head, you could just put the search word into our website, subscription or coming soon. So knowing how to do this filtering can help you if you want to add coming soon properties or any kind of specific properties into a subscription for a client, because you can control what's in that subscription. So the way to make sure that you get coming soons as in the subscription is you've got to tell Flex before you assign the search to the person and before you set up the subscription that you want that. So again, you would hold down the control button, have active and coming soon. So now I would do my other search parameters. I've already got my active and coming soon chosen. And let's just say I'm just choosing a zip code 85255 and number of bedrooms, minimum of 4. Okay, that's my search. Now I'm going to save it and I'm going to make a subscription. You're going to walk through all the steps you would normally do. That search with those parameters will now be part of the subscription when you set it up once you save that search and you tell it to start a subscription. So most people are trying to control that on the back end. They're trying to go into a subscription and then change what kind of properties are in it. No, you've got to do it from the front end. You've got to tell the search what you want to do, and then you're going to start this subscription based on the search. So I hope that made sense. So that's a question we were getting asked a lot. And that's why I wrote a blog article about it. So back to this search template. Just want to refresh it just so we can start nice and clean. Back to the search template. There's a few, quote, wonky things in this template that I want to describe. And then I'm going to teach you how to make your own template. Because as I showed you a few minutes ago, FlexMLS is nice enough to give you these 8 searching templates, but they've dictated to you what you should be searching by. And just because in Fargo, North Dakota, they want something, or maybe a user of the product in Chicago wants something, or maybe in Florida, doesn't necessarily mean we here in our Phoenix market think it's valuable in our search. But the product was made for about 250,000 users that are using Flex throughout MLSs in the US and Canada. So some of the stuff just doesn't fit us, right? So let's talk about some of that. First of all, one field that is great, there's nothing wrong with this field at all. I just want to make sure you know how it works. City, town, and code. City, town, code. And that's just a fancy way of setting city and town. I don't know why they have to have the word code in there. It's something I could never figure out. So you can put in more than one cities. You don't have to. If you have a client that wants to live in Scottsdale, Cave Creek, or Carefree, you don't have to do 3 different searches. What you do have to do is put a comma. Cave Creek, comma, Carefree. Now you can do one search. You can do the same thing with zip codes. You can put in multiple zip codes with commas. The one thing I want to explain and to give you a warning about is that FlexMLS considers zip codes to trump towns. They think zip codes is the king. So I really feel like they should have put zip code on top of town, but again, it's Flex. Watch what happens when I do that. I want to look in Scottsdale, Cave Creek, Carefree. I've got 1,360 results, right? Pretty good. If your client also is interested in Desert Ridge and you think you're such a hot shot because you know the zip code of Desert Ridge and you punch it in there, you've now broken FlexMLS. It's giving you 0 results. It's scrolling, trying to look for something, and it's not able to. The reason is, and I know if you're home right now, you're probably yelling it out at the walls. 85050 is a Phoenix zip code. So you've broken FlexMLS. You've told Flex that within the 85050 zip code, you'll look at properties that are in Scottsdale, Cave Creek, and Carefree within that zip code. It doesn't exist. If I were to put in a Scottsdale zip code, or 2 or 3, whatever, then it's going to be able to start thinking 228 listings fit those criteria that are in those towns, in those zip codes. So the takeaway here is to know how to use your commas to string a series along, but not to combine zip codes and towns unless you are really sure of your boundaries, because you can get messed up. A lot of zip codes share, maybe 2 towns are in one zip code and vice versa. Sometimes a town has, 30 different zip codes. So just be careful. Another quote wonky thing here is the pool private field. So we have 1,360 results, but now I'm telling Flex, well, yeah, but they want a private pool. So I click there and nothing changes. Nothing's happening. Literally nothing has changed. 1,360 is still sitting there. Flex is thinking. A lot of agents think that that's how you search for a pool. Oh yeah, I just clicked that. It's so weird the way Flex does this. And it all goes back to how you list property. So if you're a listing agent, you know what I'm talking about. You have to go into Flex and you have to tell it whether or not this house has a private pool. And you have to say yes or no. And then later you can add on the features of those pools. So Flex is following that category. It's saying, first, it's just opening up the category for you. You have to just say, yes, I want to talk about a private pool. But in order for that number to change, or for something to happen, you have to actually pick a filter within private pool. I know that sounds dumb. So you'd have to say, yes, in the private pool category, I would like a private pool. It's really dumb. And now you have 666 properties. So you had to tell Flex that in that category, yes, I want a pool. The reason for that, as silly as it sounds, is because sometimes you don't want a pool. There are people that simply don't want a pool in their backyard, maintenance reasons, safety reasons. So that is why they say, okay, let's start the conversation. What kind of private pool do you want? Maybe you want no private pool, and you could check that. It gets a little weirder. If your client says they must have a pool in their backyard, it's got to be private, it has to be heated, and it has to be fenced. Well, you're going to check off those pieces of criteria and you have 679 pools. And you're going to whittle that down based on other criteria. You're going to bring your client to one of the 11 houses that you still have on your list. And they're going to walk in and they're going to see a gorgeous sparkling pool in the backyard that is freezing cold, has no heater. Maybe it has a fence, maybe it doesn't. And what did you do wrong? Well, you told Flex that the pool could be fenced or heated or private. So a private pool sitting there in the backyard with no fence is fitting that category. A private pool with a fence but no heater is fitting that category. It's weird the way they do it. So I'm going to teach you how to work around it, and then I'm going to give you a little warning. So to make this the way your client really wanted it, you need to change the or to an and. See, I did that 3 times. Now you only have 42 pools. This is where the warning comes in. I guarantee you that there are more than 42 heated private fenced pools in Maricopa County. I mean, there just are, right? What went wrong? The listing agent on the other end didn't bother to check off all those pieces of information. Why? Because it's not mandatory. Flex only makes you say one thing about the private pool. And it can be that, yes, there's a private pool, or no, there's no private pool, and you can move on. So if the listing agent is a newbie, or if they are super busy and swamped, or maybe they've thrown $35 to their transaction coordinator who's going to do it on her lunch break, sometimes listings get rushed through, which is terrible because it should be something that you should be painstakingly doing. And if you've never taken my listings class, I've got one on that too, and approximately 2 hours walking you through the soup to nuts on listing. So I've taught you how to use these filters with the and or not and how to manipulate them, but be careful, because the smarter thing to do is just to say, yeah, we have to have a private pool. That's just a deal breaker. We have to, because, you know, that is a deal breaker. And chances are the listing agent didn't fudge that up. You know, they put that in. Then whittle down your other criteria, the number of bedrooms, the renovated kitchen, the school, whatever, and then do your homework. Call those listing agents. Hi, is the pool heated? I mean, I know you didn't select that it was heated, but, you know, just figured I'd ask. Or by any chance, is the pool fenced? Or maybe eyeball the pictures. I live in a property right now where when I go back to look at the old listing, it does not say that my pool is fenced. But you know what? There is a fence. It's just a removable fence, and it's hidden away, but it can easily become a fenced pool. Somebody on the searching end would never have found my house because the listing agent didn't even bother writing that there was a fenced pool. I didn't care. I didn't want a fenced pool, so I found the house. But there might have been another person that didn't find my house because of that, and that's fine with me. But so that's the kind of stuff that can happen. Anytime you see a field where you can check off boxes, anytime you see that, be careful about checking off the boxes. It's a matching game. You need to match exactly with what the listing agent did. Flex isn't going to think creatively for you. They're not going to be like, oh, I know what she meant, or they can't. It's just a database. So you are playing a matching game. If you start getting crazy and checking off every box and every little thing that you think your buyer wants, you might box yourself out of results. So to show you another field that you can filter like that, the kitchen field. It's a really popular field these days, right? A lot of people watch way too much Home and Garden TV or whatever it is, or the cooking shows, and everybody has to have the special stove and the farmhouse sink and all this stuff, right? And they make you crazy with their little wish list. Well, Flexmls doesn't give you anything about kitchens. And we all know that there's kitchen fields when you're listing a property, right? So how do we circumvent that? I want to start fresh. Anything you don't want in your template that's bugging you, that's in your way, that's clogging up your field of vision, you can get rid of, and you can make room for additional fields. Let me show you what I mean. Legal description, plot 1, phase 2, Greyhawk 4. I mean, I don't think we're ever going to do that, right? Going to X off of it. Slab parking. I don't know about North Dakota, but here nobody wants to park on a piece of concrete. Xing off of it. So you see what I'm doing? I could X off of things to make room. Once I've made some room, I can add some things in, like kitchen. Going down to this plus sign and I'm writing in the word kitchen. And I don't even have to finish writing it. Flex thought for me and said, oh, do you want kitchen features? You can do one of two things. You could take the entire category, which is what I'm going to do by clicking on it, or you could have just taken little tiny pieces, but I want the category. So I'm doing that. You see, now I have kitchen features. And just like I taught you with the dining, I'm sorry, not dining, with the pool, private pool, same thing. You can filter, you can do and or not, but be careful. You start checking off 12 boxes here. Oh, we need granite and we need a dishwasher and we need an island and we need a pantry. You're going to X yourself right out of listings that are perfectly good, but the listing agent did not check off all of those boxes. Another good field to add in that agents often don't know how to find, HOA. A lot of times your clients say, I don't want to live in an HOA, or please, I'd like an HOA. Type the word HOA here, and you're going to get the whole associations category. In this case, I just want the HOA yes, no. I just want one piece of info. So watch how I do that. See, I just clicked on it once. Another good one to add in is public remarks. Add that in. Now you could search by public remarks. These are things that, in my opinion, belong in a search template, in my opinion. Slab parking does not belong in my search template. So I got rid of it. The problem is when you leave and Flex refreshes and you come back, all your hard work is going to be gone. They will not let you change their template. They won't let you, and they won't let you delete it. But there's a workaround. After you're done building your template the way you want it, got rid of all that stuff that I didn't want, I added in some stuff, click save. And then you're not saving a search because you didn't actually search for anything. You're given another option because you changed the template around. You're given this option, save quick search template, and you're going to name it. So I'm going to say office visit and save. Now watch what happens. When I go here to the templates, I scroll past number 8 and you see I've got ones with names, horse properties, office visit, perfect buyer template. I created those templates. You can create as many as you want. Let's go to my horse property template. This template has horse stuff in it, all sorts of things that people with horses might care about. I made that template for when I have a horse buyer. You can make as many templates as you want, but they will live here and you cannot get rid of your other templates. If you'd like to delete a template, might need a pen and paper. This is not intuitive. Go to menu and in preferences, my quick searches. It's just weird how Flex just doesn't ever make anything easy. My quick searches, and then all of the ones you created, you see horse property, office visit will show up. I'll take this perfect buyer template and I'll remove it. Oops. Oh, there's a search. I have a search attached to it, so it can't be removed. But that's protecting me because I attached a search when I was teaching subscriptions one day. But if I had not had a search attached to it, I could just easily delete it. So I could delete the one I made today, office visit. I didn't attach a search to that. So now that one's gone. Very easy. You can modify your templates by going into them, opening them up. And you can modify it, save it again. You could also modify it when you're using it. While you're actually using it, you can make a change. Oh, I want to take out covered spaces and slab spaces. Now I want to save it again. And Flex is smart enough to say, do you want to just replace the existing template? And I'll say, sure, just refresh it. So very, very powerful thing to know how to do to make your own templates. It would save you so much time. If you just spend a rainy day or a really hot day or whatever for half hour, 45 minutes building yourself some templates, you'll save a lot of time.
Michelle?
So we're going to move on. Are there any questions about this stuff that I just did? Let me check.
Right here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I had a client that was open to carport or garage spaces? How do you make it either or?
Carport or garage?
Yes.
Well, in the garage, you would, oh, because they're gonna cancel out each other. Yeah, that's one
I
of the
wouldn't
ones
mark
that I would
anything then.
say it's better to not filter that way, because a lot of people aren't going, they might not remember in the listing process to mark off that there's also a carport. It's not a mandatory. Flex doesn't make you check off the carport button. So I would just do a perfect search in other regards and then find out what the parking situations were in the house. Or I would just search for 3-car garages and then also see if there's a carport. That's what I personally would do.
Yeah.
There's some
I was-
questions here.
Fine.
Was that?
It was for, they just maybe wanted one carport or two, spaces. It didn't matter if they had a garage or a carport, but
Yeah.
they wanted something. So I didn't know how to filter for that at the time.
Yeah, I would have just choose the one that's the most important, because if you choose both, they might end up canceling each other out, and then do your research from there.
Yeah.
So we have some other questions. Let's see, no, we answered that already. When searches go to clients, they see if there's an open house on the left side. On our side, we have to click on the button to see if there's an open house. Why can't we just show up in our searches when they are in the list format like they do for our clients? That's all part of the controls when you're setting up your subscriptions. You can choose whether or not to even have open houses in there. But yeah, it's not going to show up like a list. It's just going to, the banner is just going to be there on the listing, open house. And it's just the way Flex does it. I don't know why you can't just send a list of open houses out. Maybe because not many people want to do that. Usually agents are trying to hide the open houses from their clients. That's just my guess. Is there a way of sorting to exclude age restricted areas? Yeah, age restriction is in the special listing conditions section. And it is the very last piece of the puzzle, age restriction. So you could either say you do want an age restricted property or you don't, based on whether you do the not or the and or the or. So that's where you would get age restriction. So it's like weird how Flex does this. This is why tips and tricks is important, because how would anyone know that that's where age restriction was hiding? Like, it's just so weird, like that they just don't make it easier to find those fields. You have to really know how to play around with everything. You also have to click or is that not necessary? Well, yes, you would have to tell it if you do want it or not. So special listing conditions. So you would just say, and I would do and. So all of this, and it has to be age restricted. So whatever else you're filtering, plus it has to be age restricted, or whatever else you're filtering, and it should not be age restricted. So one or the other.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
It's Natalia. So about age restrictions or whatever feature we need to select, can we just do simply search? Will Flexmls tell us in which category we can find it, or we kind of have to
there
click every
isn't.
single?
There
That is
isn't. It's so frustrating. There just isn't. The way you get really schooled at where things are hiding, to be honest, is just over time. If you're a listing agent, it becomes much more natural to you, because you see it, you start to see the method of the madness, and you'll know where things are hiding because you've gone through it on the other end, inputting. That's why I know where all these silly things are hiding, just because I've taught listings so many times. I've looked at that form so many times.
Is there a
And I
PDF?
just wish it were easier.
Is there like a PDF file exist with all the categories?
No, there's no PDF that I know of that has all their terms and where they're hidden. That would be an awesome thing. If you ever came across it, send it my way. I had a client who was sending me listings from a saved search from another agent in the past. Other than contacting that agent to cancel that subscription, is there any other way to cancel it? No. That person can cancel it on their end. They can say on the email, unsubscribe me, or they can contact their agent and tell them to unsubscribe them, but you you can't find subscriptions that other agents have done and cancel them for them, unfortunately. But it should be super easy on your client's side. And if they're not canceling it, it means that they maybe don't want to cancel it because they could cancel it easily on their side. All right, so the very last thing I wanted to do, because I know that I think Kelly said she wanted to leave time at the end for questions. So I wanted to make sure we have a good spot. There was the very last trick. We wanted to move off of the template because we did quite a few little tricks in the template. Want to move away from the search template into the map. So earlier someone asked, what if you want like just a little area west of the 51, but east of the 17, blah, blah, blah. You can't search for that any which way. It's really not possible. And unfortunately, there's little like hot areas like Arcadia maybe, or Biltmore, and those aren't searchable either because they're not legal entities. They're marketing names for neighborhoods. So what do? You learn how to become an expert with the map. This is the most complicated of all the things I'm going to show you with the tips and tricks, which is why I saved it for the end. If you don't grasp it all today, I have probably 100 different blog articles on these topics. You can put in the different keywords, and our searching and mapping class that I do, the full one covers it if you need more after today. Well, I'll show you the different ways that you can use the map to hone in on very specific areas that you want to find. So the first way is to draw a circle. So let's pretend that your office is right here in the heart of Tempe, and you only want to live within 5 miles of your office, right? Well, you would take the circle, go right here in the middle of Tempe, and go out for the whatever it was, I said 5 miles, get it close, and you click one time. And then you can filter by your other criteria. I can't spend more than $600,000 right now, and I have to have at least 2 bedrooms, okay? And now the properties that match my criteria are within that little bubble. So there was no way to say to Flex, hey, can you get me near my office? So you use your shape. Watch what else I can do with this shape. You notice that there was an airport right there, right? What if you don't want to be near the airport? I drew that same circle, right? Over the airport. Watch what I'm going to do now. You see over here on the left, under the word MLS and under the word shape, you see circle. I'm going to click the within. And now I'm going to say not within. I don't want to be near, hold on, I need to put the city in because otherwise it's dragging up too much of an area. So I want to be in Tempe. I need 2 bedrooms at least. I can't spend more than 600,000, and I don't want to be near the airport. Watch. See there to the east of Tempe? All of those properties are at least 5 miles from the airport, but are still within the Tempe boundaries and don't go over 600 grand. Because I did not within. Watch what else I can do. If the guy comes to me and says, well, now my girlfriend wants to be near her office too, she's over there. Now I can say intersection. Okay, they both want to be, they want that perfect little spot where they both can be close to their office. So I did intersection, and now only properties that are within that little section, if there are any, and they're just not, oh, there are some, great, will show up. So all these different ways you can customize your search if you know how to do your mapping. So that's one thing you can do. Someone asked about, I'm going to do a new search, clean all that up. Someone asked about, what if you just want certain streets, don't want to be north, south, east, or west of something? You're going to need to get a little bit more specific than what the circle will allow, right? Because the circle is going to go so it's going to grow bigger and bigger. You're not going to be able to control it. I would take my polygon. I would go to the area in question, and I would click once, move, click, move. Anytime I want to move, I click again. Maybe I don't want to go that far down, click, double click. And now my little shape stays. And houses that were in with that little area stay. I can name the search, save it just like I would any search. I'll just call it north, south, east, west demo. So now I've got this little boundary, not going north, south, east, or west of certain areas. And I even drew a little custom just because I didn't want that little area for whatever my reason was, just didn't want it. You see, you can control it as much as you want.
Can I throw another question in there?
Yeah,
So I was trying to look specifically for what she wanted was, my client was the Desert Ridge area, but
Yeah.
neither one of us really knew the boundaries. And so
Yeah.
I found that there was no way to, or at least I couldn't find a way to say, just show me everything in Desert Ridge. Like,
yeah, perfect thing. Perfect question, because that was going to be my very last. So yeah, I said we're going to spend the end of the class doing mapping. The very last map thing I was going to do after showing the shapes and the knot within the intersection was to show you the overlays. So that's going to answer your question. kind of.
okay, perfect.
So there's two things you could do. You could zoom in to go to that area, and where is Desert Ridge? I know where it is, but now of course I'm not able to get there. So the top of the 101 over by the 51, there we are. So you could zoom in to see if it's on the map, and look, it actually is. So you got lucky. It was already on the map because it is a big enough little sub area. Then I could take my polygon and I could draw around it. I would obviously get better boundaries. I would blow it up and look at the better boundaries. That was super quick. But if you did not have it on the map, which sometimes you won't, and you're not lucky, we have something called overlays for the areas that are not listed on the map that you might want to find, like Arcadia Light, like the Willow District, all of these weird places. So I'm going to refresh my search. Right here in the top right corner, overlays. And the MLS provides you with this whole list of overlays. I'm going to just do zip code real quick. And you
Wait,
have to kind of zoom
Where did
because
you click? I didn't see that.
overlays,
Okay, there it is. Okay.
zip code right there. Yeah, top right corner. And now once I zoomed in a little better or a little worse, I get my zip code boundaries, right? I can combine overlays. I can combine zip codes with FEMA flood zone. Okay, now I have two different overlays working, and I could steer my client. Okay, they want to be in this zip code, but they don't want to be near a flood zone. Get them in the right little area, and then draw your little shape. Let me get off of those and bring you to what the overlay I wanted to show you, neighborhoods. So I'm going to click on the neighborhood overlay. And now again, you have to zoom sometimes to get these right, but you see all these weird neighborhoods that maybe you've heard of, but never knew where they are. Maybe a client wants it and you're like, where the heck is that? Palm Acres, East Morningside, Meadowbrook. I mean, who even knew these places existed? And I'm sure now when I go up there, Desert Ridge will probably also be an overlay. I can't swear to it because I haven't checked up there in a little while, but my guess is that Desert Ridge will be its own overlay. Yeah, Desert View Village,
That's not it.
Desert Ridge. Yeah, so it has an overlay and it's also there on the map altogether. Same thing is we have a subdivision overlay. If you are looking for a subdivision and you know, you get frustrated because sometimes listing agents, they LIE and they say a house is in a subdivision, but it's not. Or maybe they forget to note that it's in a subdivision and it really is. You could go to this overlay for subdivisions so that you can really learn the boundaries. And then you can draw that boundary map. And that way, when you're trying to search for a house in Greyhawk and you turn on your overlay, only houses in Greyhawk will appear. Let me show you what I mean by that. This is gonna be the very last thing we do. It's gonna be the most complicated thing we do. So take a sip of water, take a sip of coffee, whatever you have. I'm gonna show you the most complicated piece of work that I've done. I created my own overlays. by drawing on the map, which I showed you how to do. So I'm going to do it real quick again. This is going to be a terrible, terrible overlay. I'm just going to randomly draw something on the map. Terrible. And now I'm going to click save. And I'm given a choice that I wasn't given before because Flex knew that I drew on the map. Save polygon as my map overlay. I'm going to call it office visit, this weird overlay that makes no sense. It's really not even an area or a neighborhood. It's just something I drew, calling it office visit. Now, this is the really complicated one. It lives here in my overlays. Office visit, where is it? In my map overlays, my office visit one is right there. So I can do two things. I can just look at one of these. Let me show you my Greyhawk one. See, I did Greyhawk the whole area, just the guard gated, just the park. I got really crazy with Greyhawk, but I'll show you all of Greyhawk. So I could click on the overlay and I can just get it on my, I want to get rid of this one, the ugly one that I did, because that makes no sense, that overlay. Okay, my Greyhawk overlay should be up here in the Greyhawk area. You see that gray blob that's on my map? That's the Greyhawk overlay that I created on my own years ago. It literally is the perfect boundary lines of Greyhawk. And like I showed you a minute ago, I also have one that's just the guard gated section right here north of Thompson Peak. So what you can do now is you can either just look at your overlay like I did, or you can search with it. Searching with it is so complicated and I don't know why. And it's the last thing I'm going to show you because it's the one that's going to make your head like, oh my goodness, what even happened? In order to actually incorporate this overlay into a search, you have to press browse. Why? As dumb as it sounds, you're shopping from something over in the right hand of the world and you're bringing it into the left. It's the best I can explain it. It makes no sense to me. And you're going to choose which overlay you want. So that was my office visit one that I hate so much that I don't like that I did. I'll choose my Greyhawk guard gated one. And now you also have to click on the word polygon. Why? I don't know. And then it will apply onto your map. And now it's pulling in properties. And I can filter. I can say, I can't go above $800,000. Let's make it 900,000 just because that's probably more realistic. And now whatever is available in the guard gated section of Greyhawk is showing up on my map. It's not much, as you can see. It's a very small area. We're in a very tight market, but there are listings here. I can look at them. There's two. Of course, they're both under contract. We know that this is how things are going right now. So that's how you would use the overlay. So it's so complicated. You have to create the overlay, but that just puts it in your little database. Then you have to actually tell Flex if you want to bring it in. If you don't like your overlay and you'd like to edit it, you can do that. You can click on it, you can edit it, you can save it again. All of your overlays live here, but because Flex is Flex, if you want to delete any of them or access them really quickly, you have to go into menu. And again, in preferences, my map overlays. I don't know why they don't let you just do it from over there. And now you can view all of your overlays and you can edit them, you can rename them, or you can delete them. So like, I hate this office visit one, right? I'm just going to delete it, remove. And if I wanted to maybe edit or rename any of them, I could click on them and then edit the shape or just give it a different name. That is all I have for you today. That was the most complicated piece of the puzzle. I did write a blog post on it. So if after today you're like, I have no idea what she was talking about with that, just Google overlays in our blog and you'll get my article. So now we do have time for questions. If anyone has a question, we have 6 minutes or so before I know you all have to run off. So let me see if there's anything here. Is there any way to sign into the Phoenix and Prescott MLS at the same time? Yes, in Monsoon. You'd have to go into Monsoon. Monsoon is a statewide system. And because ARMLS owns it and we leased it out to MLSs around the state, including Lake Havasu City, Prescott, because of that, you can, when you're in Monsoon, you can search other MLSs in Monsoon. So you have to go to Monsoon and do an MLS search, and then you could choose from the ones that are in our world. And we're always adding. Every few months, we get a new MLS that comes in there. Any other questions? We did a lot. We learned a lot of little tips and tricks. Raise your hand. I'm going to do that little exercise again. If you learned something, a tip or a trick that you didn't know before, raise your hand or give the thumbs up, whatever's easier for you. Good. I see a lot of hands. Great. Okay. That's always the goal, because, you know, some things you might have already known, right? You know, no one here is, well, actually, I think we did have 1 or 2 very new people, but most have been around. So some of the things I showed you, you might have been like, oh, I already knew that. But I always hope that there's something that, you know, even if it's just 1 or 2 things that are like, oh, wow, I didn't know I could do that.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Setting up the automatic notification for the client. For
Like the subscription, you mean?
Yes.
Yep.
I've been walked, somebody walked me through it, but I can't quite always.
Yeah.
And
It's a lot. That's something that I teach as part of this searching class, and it takes me like 20 minutes just to teach that. So we really wouldn't be able to go into it right now.
Okay.
I'd be happy to work with you at another time, or you could take the class, or you can go to our website, and in the learning section, we have a subscriptions and portals online course. Lots of options for you to learn it, but in 5 minutes, I can't teach you subscriptions, and not properly anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
You showed us overlays, for example, subdivisions.
Yeah.
And you said you just know that approximately that one locates 101 north of 51.
Yeah.
What if I have no clue where that division that I'm
It's
looking for locates?
unfortunate. Yes.
I have to read one by one, and just there is no way to kind of search.
Well, no, there's no glossary or anything, but they're all laid out. You know, when you go to the subdivisions, it'll all be out in a grid. And I mean, hopefully, if you could at least ask the person who's asked you to look for this, oh, is that West Phoenix? Is it North? And then maybe get it. But
Okay. But there is
believe me,
no.
I've had that challenge where I've been like searching on the map for like, where is Arcadia? And I can't find it. And it's just, you just have to get used to it.
Okay.
Yeah, Flex doesn't make things super easy. So yeah, it would be great if you could just say, hey, Flex, go to this
F8 or something.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. So again, before you all run, we learned how to make our own search templates, and we learned that they will store here under this. After the 8, yours will store there, and that you can access them at any time and edit them and delete them, but you cannot take away a pre-existing template that Flex has given you. Taught you how to use the and or not, taught you how to do some mapping with the shapes and the overlays and kind of get sophisticated. And I also went over how to change the listing statuses and the dates of the listings going back to. So we covered a lot. I hope you guys enjoyed it and learned some stuff. And I know I'm booked for every 2 months for a while now, so I'm not sure exactly when I'm coming back, but I know it is approximately 2 months from now. So I'll hang out in case anyone types in any more questions. But aside from that, if you don't have a question, you can go think, okay, let's see. We do have questions. Wow, okay. Can you review changing your listing status to UCB pending? So yeah, you would just go here in statuses, click anywhere in the white, and then click on exactly what you want, and the others will go away. But then if you want more than one, you need to hold down Control or if you're on a Mac, it would be Command and then click on the others that you want. So look, I can unclick coming soon and just have those two. I could also put in pending if I wanted. As long as I'm holding down that control key, I can do that. And then when I'm done, I just let go. Is there a way to search for listings only with a price reduction? That is a very, very good question. No one's ever asked that before. I wonder if there is a price reduction.
I think they'd have to put it into, this is Juliana speaking, the one who
Hi.
asked the question. I would think that they would have to put it into, price reduction would have to be in the status field, like active, UCB, pending.
Right.
They would have to be able to manipulate the software and write code to be able to
Yeah.
put price reduction into the status field. And then
Right.
that would give us something to search for there, but
Yeah.
because it's not there.
That is a really good, observation. And I'm surprised they don't have that, but no, I do not believe you can just somehow filter out. But when there is a price reduction, when you have a subscription set up for a client, that's considered a new
Right.
listing because anytime there's a change, so those will by default get emailed out. So I guess a little workaround is un-high techy as it sounds, is you could just put yourself on the subscription and that way you'll get emailed the minute there's price changes. I mean, I wish there were a better way.
It happens that way automatically anyway, because you're the one initiating the search. So it's going to copy you if you select that.
If you select that, yeah.
Yeah. But I was wondering if there's any way that you guys could take that back to the company that writes code for Flexmls for this to see.
Yeah,
what
I can
it
let
takes
them.
to do that.
Yeah, I
Because
can
in
tell
today's
them that.
market, with it being so competitive, sometimes you have buyers that can't afford to waive an appraisal and they can't pay over asking, and their only hope to get a house is maybe something that's been sitting
Yeah.
on the market for a week or two.
Yeah, I can make a suggestion. I mean, you never know. Sometimes they take our suggestions.
And sometimes they don't.
So do you see Juliana's question? Did I answer that one?
Yes.
Okay, great. Can you put a link in here for classes? Oh, mother-in-law suite. If the person who asked for mother-in-law suite is still here, I don't mind staying. That's a good one. That's a really, really good one. That's in public remarks. So the link to the classes, hold on. I'm going to do that before I forget. All right, so hopefully this goes out. Looks like I did it. Okay. To search for mother-in-law suite. And funny enough, we have a blog article on that. I know that sounds random that we actually have a blog article about mother-in-law suite because it's the example we use all the time. You would have to have public remarks in because mother-in-law suite is not a field. So I'd go to my template that I made earlier that has public remarks in it. And I would search the public remarks. I'd put in the word mother-in-law suite. I get 12. Here's the problem. And this is why we use mother-in-law suite for the blog article that we wrote about adding things to public remarks. Anytime you type in any of the fields in Flex, anytime you write something, your writing has to be perfect in terms of grammar and spelling, or Flex will not make the match. They're not Google, they can't think intuitively. So mother-in-law suite is actually not correct grammar here. When I do mother at 12 listings, right? Watch when I do mother-in-law suite, which is the correct way to write it, I get 19. The problem is those 19 and those 12 are completely different. They're not the same. So that means there are really 31 mother-in-law suites or whatever that was, 41, 19 plus 12, whatever math that is. So that is a problem. So watch what you could do to circumvent that. You could spell it both ways because clearly 19 realtors know how to spell it and 19 don't and 12 don't. So you might want to cover your base. And now watch. Now I get the 31. However, do you really need a mother-in-law suite? if the person who's shopping for the house asks for a mother-in-law suite, wouldn't they also be happy with a casita? Or a guest room? Or a guest house? Now watch what happens. Instead of 31, 573. I could keep doing this. Loft, den, bonus room. You get what I'm saying here? So be really careful. Now we're at 876. Use the public remarks, know how to use them because it's powerful to be able to search through the public remarks, but you need to think like your fellow realtors might be typing it because that's the only way you're going to make a match. So if there was a realtor out there that spelt sweet wrong, like without the E, or they spelt it S-W-E-E-T, that would actually not show up for you unless you also spelled it that way. It's crazy. I wrote a blog post. I highly suggest all of you to read. It's called Spelling Counts in FlexMLS, and it explains the whole concept. So yeah, anything you're looking for that is not searchable in a field, you can search for in the public remarks, but be really careful. Know your spelling, know your grammar, and try to think outside the box. What else might the listing agent be calling this?
Isn't there a wild card, like a star or something that we use to
There
finish?
is, but it's not going to catch. That's just, the wild card is just when you don't know how to spell something completely and you want to cover all your bases, you put in like a replacement letter or word. I feel like it has so few applications. The way it's supposed to work is, let's say in subdivisions, you were looking for McDowell Mountain Ranch, but you couldn't think of the full name. You knew it was something Mountain Ranch. So you went asterisk or %sign. Both of them work. Mountain Ranch. And now when you go to search, everything that comes up with mountain and ranch in the subdivision, you see on the right, South Mountain Ranch, McDowell Mountain Ranch, Red Mountain Ranch. So it's kind of like a placeholder when you don't know the full words, or you don't know how to spell it. You want to like cover yourself and you just take out one of the letters and you put that in, but it's not going to help you find synonyms and things like that. So yes and no, the wild card can help you sometimes, but the more powerful thing to know is to how to use synonyms, to think of all the different ways your listing agent on the other end might be thinking of something. And when you are the listing agent, that's a great lesson to be learned. Think like a searcher, think like a buyer's agent when you're writing your listing. Don't use your SAT words. Don't use crazy complicated terminology that no one else might know. Think about what people might be searching for: move-in condition, turnkey, light and bright, things like that, that people might actually be searching for, investment opportunity. And on your searching side, try not to get too specific. If you put into the public remarks, Italian marble,
What?
you might or might not ever find a property, because there could be a lot of houses out there with Italian marble, but did the listing agent actually put it in there? So now you've told Flex, if it doesn't have Italian marble, we don't want to look at it. So just be really careful. Okay, so I think helpful information, motherless. I think we got all the questions answered. So unless someone shouts something out in the next minute, I'll turn it back over to Kelly. I'm sure everyone at this point, we ran a little over, probably has places to run to, and I'll say goodbye.
I'm still here.
Hi.
I've been working. No, it was great. Completely thorough and wonderful. Thank you.
Great. I'm glad everyone enjoyed. I know we stayed a
you,
little bit
Michelle.
longer. There were a lot of questions and I was happy to answer them. Everyone knows how to reach me. Kelly can even ping it out to you all after if it wasn't already noted down. I'll be back again. This was great. It was great seeing such a big crowd and hearing all the questions. So have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, guys.